I'm getting a little up. There we go. All right. So I was a little worried with the whole Facebook thing and all that stuff that happened yesterday. So good morning, everybody. John Cleaver here with Wendy Lee. Good morning, Wendy. And we are going to be talking about the financial storm that's coming up and the top 5 things that you should be doing to get ready for the storm. So batten down the hatches. We're going to get started here in just a few minutes, actually just a few seconds. We'll talk about those things. All right, we're back. Gave some people a chance to hopefully hop on here. And also, if you're following us after the fact on YouTube or one of the other channels, do me a favor, that little like button, click that, click follow, click subscribe, click whatever you need to click, but make sure you're getting this information because it's good stuff. So, Wendy, how was your weekend? Did you have an awesome weekend again?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
A really awesome weekend again. I spent the weekend in a $4 million home on the beach.
Nice.
And it was nice. Yeah, I was in Destin and actually chatted with the guy that owns the house, who's also I'm in business with.
Okay.
Chatted about investments and just what to do with your money when you have a whole bunch of it, because he does have a whole bunch of it.
So. Well, there you go. So doing a little dream casting, is that what that's called when you're?
Well, I called it visioneering, but yes.
Visioneering. There you go.
I was with quite a few multimillionaires this weekend. So they definitely talking to them. You're like, man, I've been playing small, so definitely ready to level up.
Well, I'm telling you, John Maxwell said it best, right? You're the average of the 5 people you hang out with. So if you want to be at a certain spot, you got to start hanging out with those people, whether it's financially, spiritually, physically, or whatever the case may be. And all of a sudden, you start holding yourself more accountable to achieve those goals and dreams. So that's awesome stuff. I love that. Well, today, I don't know, have you been following the news on what's going on in the economy and, kind of this, that, and the other? Let me ask you this. And
I'll leave that to you because I get depressed when I follow the news.
Well, it can be if you're not, especially if you're not prepared. But Facebook went down yesterday, so a lot of people, were very aware of that, and that just tanked their stock throughout the day yesterday. But they're up and running again. We're broadcasting live there. But you look at what's going on in the economy, and you don't have to be a financial guru or a financial expert or even follow finances to realize, hey, I'm paying a hell of a lot more for my stuff at the grocery store now, right? Or I'm paying a lot more.
My husband called me the other day. He's like, have you noticed groceries going up? I'm like, dude, you're the one that grocery shops. I don't know. And he's like, everything's a lot more expensive.
Yeah, and it was in a very short period of time too. And then you look at what's going on with the housing and things like that. I mean, I just saw a place pop up in a town, a little suburb next to where I'm at. And it was like, a 2,000 square foot house, nothing fancy. The rent was $4,000 per month. $4,000 per month. And I'm like, and that's not like in a hot spot downtown Nashville. That was just in a suburb of a suburb outside of Nashville. And I'm just like, holy cow. So housing's going up, and then people are using credit like crazy right now. We actually have more credit card debt in the United States than we did in 2007. So all these indicators are flashing. It's like when you're standing outside, on a summer day, and it may be a nice day right now, but you see those dark storm clouds on the horizon. What does that usually mean getting ready to happen?
It's going to rain. The storm is coming.
The storm is coming, right? And so what we're going to talk about today, right now, we're getting ready for a financial storm. Okay. And it's not just Wendy and I saying this. Go out and go to the Google, right? Everybody wants to do their research. So they don't research, they just go to the Google. But that works. Go and look at pending financial crisis or pending financial storm. You're going to see tons and tons of article about it. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of them are just like extremists, but some of them are, pretty legit. You've got Wells Fargo coming out, Chase Bank coming out, Jamie Dimon from Chase Bank. You've got Bank of America has released a couple of articles, as well as several other groups talking about the financial impact of 2022. So it's right around the corner. So the question is, are you ready for the storm? what can you do to be ready for the storm? So kind of looking at that, Wendy, I mean, if you've got a storm coming in your house, you know what to do, right? I'm going to close the windows, get ready. If I've got stuff sitting outside, I'm going to bring that in, or maybe my plants hanging, I'm going to set those out so they can get the rain. But what do you think you should start with looking at the financial storm? You know, what would you, it's coming. What would you do? What would you start with?
My budget.
Exactly.
Make sure I'm not spending everything I
Yeah, that's part of it too, right?
Where can I cut back?
But
Where
it's
can I save? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's let's look at all that. So you look at make a budget, right? We've talked about that in the past, and that's one of those things that's I'm like, oh, you know, I got to do a budget. I don't want to do. Nobody wants to do a budget, but I'm here to tell you, it's a lot easier than you think. It is, and there's a ton of free tools out there. You know, whether you really get involved in depth, but unless you take control of your money. Your money is going to do whatever it wants, which is pretty much leave your pocket, right? And I'm talking about, you know, the Starbucks, you know, the Panera Bread, or I'm going to stop and do lunch at XYZ. Even if you try to go cheap and go fast food anymore, fast food is like, you know, $8, $9. You do that 2 or 3 times a week. That's $30 times 4. There's $120 gone.
Yeah.
You know, and you would never say, I want to go spend $120 at McDonald's. If I said, hey, let's go to a $120 lunch at McDonald's, you get what I'm saying. I know I'm not talking about the food. I'm talking about just the fact that you spent money there like that, but those nickels and dimes add up, and it's not even nickels and dimes; it's 5s and 10s now. So
I always say it's depressing how much money we eat.
Exactly. It's really the other. I don't mind the eating part; it's the other part. You know, you're literally flushing it down the drain. I'm just going to leave that there. But you know, you look at that, and it's like that budget piece. So there's a couple of great tools you can use. Number one, I'm a huge fan of mint.com, mint.com. You know. Now, that's a pretty in-depth budgeting tool, meaning if you and your honey pie are going to sit down and look at something, you know, grab a bottle of wine, have some fun with it, right? Do it in a couple of sessions because it's going to take about 2 or 3 hours to set it up. But on the other spectrum, you've got some great Excel spreadsheets out there. You know, I always recommend, what is it? I'll have to post it. It's something42.com. I'll have to look it up. But there's another one I really like, too. It's from Dave Ramsey Group, the Lampo company, right? That's the Every Dollar app. It's a simple little envelope system in your phone.
Yeah.
So you keep track of that. And what happens I want to stress, a budget is not keeping track of what you've already spent. A budget is saying, I'm only going to spend this amount in these areas.
Right.
And then once you hit that, you're done, right? If I'm going to say $200 for entertainment with friends, like that's my going out money. If it's the 15th of the month and I've gone through $200, guess what? I'm hanging out watching Netflix the next couple of weekends till the month's over.
Yeah.
You know, so that's that real. And I always tell people too, if you don't budget, don't bother, because everything else is kind of an exercise in futility, right? You have a budget, right, Wendy?
I do.
Okay.
Do I always follow it? No, but I do have one.
And that takes time. I always tell people, don't beat yourself up, right? It's one of those it just like
I need to get better at budgeting the emergency expenses.
Well, and that's
partly emergencies, by the way, like not emergency fund emergencies, but like, you know.
Yeah, I've got this great discount opportunity to go get a condo down on the beach. That's not an emergency. So I get what you're saying there. But that's really the second thing, right? Is the emergency fund.
Yeah.
And you know, I forget the statistic. I think it's like 53 or 63%. And again, I forget the statistic. Don't have enough money in their savings account to cover a $400 expense. That's scary. I mean, and you look at what happened. We just went through COVID, right? They were talking about the Delta variant, you know, COVID-2 coming through.
Right.
In some countries are on lockdown again. You know, I don't know if you've been watching what's going on in Australia and things like that. I mean, you know, it's getting really hectic out there. And what happens is that severely impacts your income, right? Whether it's, you know, you losing a job or not, but if you just get shut down or furloughed or something like that, or you just can't get to work now because of X, Y, or Z, you want to make sure you've got some money set back. Okay. And I always tell people, start with $1,000. Okay. Get to that point. And I don't have the money. How do I do that? Well, it goes back to the budgeting piece. Okay. You've got money. It's just where is your priority, right? You know, when instead of, hey, let's go see that new movie coming out or whatever, or let's go on and hook up with some friends. No, let's put some money back for our emergency fund and have our friends come over and we'll play cards or whatever the case may be. Much cheaper night, right? Emergency fund, and then you want to build to 3 months of expenses, and then eventually 6 months. You don't need more than 6 months, I mean, if you want to, it's pillow test, whatever. But it's critical that you have that $1,000 in there. That's going to cover probably 60% of what you have come at you, right?
Yeah.
And so you use it. And again, like you said, it's not for, hey, we've got a great opportunity to go down to the beach and stay at a friend's condo or something like that. No, an emergency fund is just that. I mean, you've got the job loss, you've got my car broke down, I got to get to work to make money, that kind of stuff, right? Or
quick tip
yeah,
with your emergency fund, don't have it linked to your regular checking account. Put it in a different bank with no debit cards and no checks, and you have to go to the bank to take it out.
Why would you do that, Wendy?
Way too dang tempting to just be like, I'll shift it over here, I get paid later. Do you know how many times I've done that? I'm just going to shift it over here. I know I'm getting paid this, and I'll just put it back in. And guess what? You don't put it back in.
You don't. Exactly. No, that's a great concept right there. I mean, that's going to force you, because it's painful, right? And you look at how much money you spend. You put $100 in your billfold, right? $100 bill in your billfold. I'll carry that thing around for a week or two. I put 5 20s in there, gone, because it's not as painful. No, it's not as painful. That's why people using their debit card. That's why debit cards are now so prevalent when you go to any register anywhere, because that's so easy. You don't feel the pain as opposed to cash coming out of your pocket, right? And that's the same thing with that savings account. So that's awesome. So number 1, make a budget. Number 2, build that emergency fund. Okay. So the other thing, and a lot of people don't realize they can do this, minimize your monthly bills. Minimize your monthly bills.
Which, unless you do the budget, you don't realize what those are, really.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
all those subscriptions.
Those subscriptions are the devil, right? I don't know if you've ever watched was it Waterboy with Bobby Boucher?
Bobby Boucher.
Adam Sandler.
Oh, Adam Sandler. Yeah.
It's Adam Sandler. He played a character called Bobby Boucher.
Was that his name in there?
His mama was always talking about that's the devil, right?
That's the devil
with a B in it. But I'm telling you, subscriptions sneak up on you, right? They sneak up on you. I mean, I'm going through my credit card statements, and tip number 1 on your subscriptions: never link it to your debit card. Okay, always link it to a credit card, like a points card or something like that, and then go through your statements. And all of a sudden,
that's a good tip.
What is this? What is this? Right? For a couple of reasons. Number 1, I don't like giving people access to my actual bank account, and that's what debit cards do, right?
Yeah.
Because if there's a mistake there, man, that's kind of an ordeal to go back and get it. If there's a mistake on your credit card, like I didn't order that subscription, because a lot of those, you read the fine print, you get the 7-day free trial.
Yeah.
And then you've automatically signed up for, $50 a month auto renewal for the next 10 years, right?
Hey, and can I throw something in here?
Yeah.
Always check your statements, bank everything, because I did a retreat, and I was at a hotel 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And I pay attention, and I was like, that doesn't look right. And I used my debit card for the hotel. I did. I should use credit card, but I did a debit card. And they charged me, not pending, fully processed, 2 times for my stay. And it was a 3-night stay, 4-night stay. Yeah, it wasn't cheap. And anyway, I called, and they were like, oh, Chase Bank accidentally charged everyone in the whole country for any transaction. I don't know if it was with Hilton or in general. Hilton that checked out on Sunday, everyone got charged twice. I still haven't gotten that back. It's been like over a week. So anyway, but if I'm not paying attention, legit, like down, $700-800.
Yeah, and you don't even realize it, because most people do exactly what you just said. They don't check their statement. But you look at that, you want to check the statement, go through it, and you can counterdict. Now, when I say use credit, folks, I don't want people to say, "Oh my gosh, you're telling people to use their credit card." I'm not talking about run up a credit, balance. I'm talking about use your credit card and then pay it off. Yeah. Get the points, get the mileage, get whatever, get the airfare, whatever, but then turn around and pay it off. But that's just another shield of protection on you when you do that, right? So the other thing is negotiating different rates, right? Just because you're paying XYZ, even on your credit card interest, you can call and negotiate that down. Now, obviously, you have to have a good pay history and things like that. Or if you've been a loyal client of a company for a while, I know I've got a security company that, monitors our house. I love having that. I just want to make sure we're protecting stuff like that. But I've been with them a while. That equipment that they put in my house has been paid for multiple times. And every year they kind of, hey, we're going to jack up your bill. We're going to jack up your bill. And I called them and said, hey, look, the people at local here charge X per month for the exact same service. If you can match that, I'll do it. I'll stay with you guys. And they said, and they took my bill literally from like $52 a month or something like that down to $28. Okay. Now I was trying to get them down to 25, but they said the closest they could do was 28. Fine, no problem. And then guess what happened 2 years later? They came back. My bill had gone, we're going up, did the same thing. Call them up. Here's the deal. And you can do that with a lot of different providers. And most people just accept it.
You could do it like, I do it with Netflix and Hulu. Like I go to cancel and they're like, oh, we'll give you the next like 4 or 6 months for half the price if you stay with us. I'm like, okay. Right. So do that every 6 or 8 months,
Yeah.
I mean, and I know it's only like a couple bucks, but I keep like, I've trained my brain that I only pay myself half of what I make. And so and I suggest everyone do that, right? Like train your brain that if you're investing and saving, right, that you only actually live off of a percentage of what you make. And so in my mind, I'm like, if I get $5 off, I had to make $10, right? Like that's $10 to me. Because if something costs $5, it's really 10. So I just train my brain to think that way. So a few bucks actually adds up and is a big deal.
Well, no, especially when you put all this together, right? So you stop eating out as much or whatever and start doing the budget, right? You negotiate your bills down, stop some of those subscriptions that, let's be honest, quite frankly, you're probably not using them all consistently, right? And you really need them or you just want them. Okay? Right. Now, all of a sudden, you've got
auto insurance too. Yep.
Yeah, you've got $200, $300, $400 to work with. And all of a sudden, it makes those other things like building that emergency fund much, much easier, right? And that also helps you with step number 4, which is if you do have debt, right, you run up some balances because just like you said, you never put that money back into savings. Well, a lot of people, they don't really get around to paying off that credit card balance that they just, I'll get to it in a couple months. They always have good intentions and life happens, those curveballs. And, once you're down, it tries to keep you down. And all of a sudden you start running up balances on your credit card. A way to get rid of that is, get rid of it through a debt snowball. Okay, you've heard Dave Ramsey talk about it. I've talked about it. Clark Howard's talked about it. I'm sure Susie Orman's talked about it as well. But you want to get out of debt, and you look at what you're spending in interest every year. It adds up. And the last thing you want to do is if there is a financial storm on the horizon, which I'm a firm believer that we're about to have it, you don't want to have a bunch of debt hanging over your head, especially if you're concerned about job loss and things like that. And it's much easier with that debt snowball. Don't just try to pay it. A lot of people I see, they'll have 4 or 5 credit cards and they'll put an extra $50 on each one every month. That is not the way to pay off debt. Yeah, that's not going to get you anywhere. But if you take that same amount and apply it to the lowest balance first, if you're paying off 4 or 5 cards, put an extra $20, $30 on each, take that extra $120, $150 and apply it just to the low one. You'll be amazed at how quickly you'll pay that off. I mean, my wife and I had a bunch of debt back in the day. And I came across Crown Financial Ministries. They taught us how to do a debt snowball. We had like $60,000. Not proud of that, but we've all been there, right? Had like $60,000 in debt that we paid off in less than 6 years with just adding a couple extra $100. And it just was amazing to me how that snowball worked. And it actually works. You got to be disciplined enough to keep racking it up on the other side. You definitely, for that financial storm, want to have those bills paid off.
Yeah.
So anything to add on that, Wendy?
No, not the debt piece.
Pay it off.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a little parched this morning. So the last one is, and I know you're going to add to this. So if I've got some goals,
it's my favorite one.
Making some, exactly, right? Making my budget. I've got that in place. I'm building the emergency fund. You want to do this all at the same time, guys. You don't want to do 1, then 2, then 3. You want to do it all at the same time, kind of that, trifecta approach, right? You want to minimize those monthly bills so that way I can put more money towards my emergency fund, more money towards paying that debt down. And then I also want to see if I can create a parachute. Okay. And what do I mean by that? Well, you guys, if you've heard my story, I've been laid off 3 times over my career. And the way I actually started doing my own thing was this came in as a parachute for me. I'm like, man, I can't depend on just one stream of income. Okay. You look at investing, right? You always hear, don't ever put your eggs in one basket, diversify. Well, why would you want to do that on your income stream? Why would you want to put all your eggs in one basket with one stream of income that can literally, if you're in a job environment, a job can be taken away from you like that?
A lot of people are experiencing right now.
Exactly. Don't even get me started on the whole, first responders and nurses. Last year, everybody was lifting on a pedestal, putting it rightfully so. And now this year, they're all getting canned left and right because of the vaccine mandates and things like that's going out there. I'm not getting in that discussion, but it's not right. But you look at that, you don't know what's around the corner. Okay? You don't know what's around the corner. So ask yourself, wouldn't it be a better situation if I had another stream of income coming in to protect my income, my cash flow for my family? And the answer is yes. So talk to us a little bit about that, Wendy.
Anyone I know that's wealthy has multiple streams of income. Wealthy mindset. Some people come into wealth, lose it all when they're not smart and they don't have backup. I mean, like you guys, even people that are entrepreneurs that I've known that all put all their eggs in one basket and think this is coming forever. And then the rug's ripped out and they lose everything. So having multiple streams of income is huge, and it's not hard to do. It's actually really simple. I teach people regularly how to 1 hour a day. It could be 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes at night, how to build a residual income, whether it pays you $500 a month or $50,000 a month. Like you can create that. You can create that extra income, especially with the internet, right?
Yes.
And if Facebook and Instagram goes down, there's TikTok, LinkedIn, Snapchat, there's all kinds of things. So, yeah, I am a huge fan of, different things like network marketing or real estate or affiliate marketing or developing your own products, physical products, selling them on Etsy, or developing digital products and use Thinkific and sell them that way. It's like the options are endless.
They are. Not only that, from a planning perspective, you get to keep so much more money from your day job, because now the whole world of additional tax write-offs that business owners get, now you're a business owner, so you actually get to take some of those write-offs. I'm not giving tax advice. It's educational purposes. My attorneys, yes, I'm telling them. So my attorneys are always telling me that. But it's one of those things. The tax codes were written for employers, not employees. As an owner of a side business, even though it's a side business, you can take advantage of a lot of that, which means you get to keep more of your day job money, your primary, which adds more money back into the coffers on those 5 goals. So, I mean, it's all about knowing the money game and how it works, right? And that's the thing. I mean, you look at when you went to school, not you, Wendy, but you, the audience, when you went to school, and maybe you went on to a trade school, or you went on and got a college degree, ask yourself this question. Did anybody ever teach you the rules of money and how that works? What to do with your paycheck? My guess is your answer is going to be, well, no. If I really want to be honest, they didn't. Maybe you got a little class on how to balance a checkbook, which I don't know who balances checkbooks anymore, that it's all automated. But maybe that's what you got. Or maybe you had a little conversation for a week on this is what it's like to have a credit card. But to really understand how the game's played, it's like you're playing the game of life, a board game, right? The game of life against Wendy and I. We know the rules and you don't, and you're trying to beat us. And it doesn't have to be that way. That's what this whole channel was all formed for, right? To teach you how to make more money, to teach you how to save more money, to teach you how to grow it and how to keep it and protect it. That's what this Black Swan channel is about. Okay. So, looking at the storm that's coming up, folks, I'm here to tell you it's coming. It's coming around the corner, and everything's out there. Go and research it. Go and Google it. You'll see what I'm talking about. But don't be afraid. Don't think the world's coming to an end. It's not, right? It's just like any other storm. We've gone through it. We'll go through this one, and we'll come out okay on the other side. The thing is, you want to make sure you do what you can, just like in a regular real storm.
To prepare.
Yeah. Prepare and protect your family. Close the windows, things like that we talk about. So taking action, here are the 5 steps again. Number 1, make a budget. I don't care if it's just a basic budget on an Excel sheet or you want to use one of those softwares, and we'll put the links in in the comments down below. Build that emergency fund, get that magical $1,000 in there. If you have $1,000 in there, that's going to cover probably 50-60% of the stuff you're going to run against, but you don't want to stop there. Get 3 to 6 months of expenses. Number 3 is start looking around at where can I cut some costs on my monthly bills. And if you do the budget, you're going to be surprised at what's really going out on your subscriptions, your TV, your Hulu, your Spotify, things like that. And a lot of those, they'll give you bundle deals too. So talk to them, try to negotiate. Don't be afraid to call your credit card company and say, what's the best interest rate I can get on this credit card? They'll lower the rate. Believe me, they will. Try to get a fixed rate if you get a lower one, because rates are probably going to start creeping up. Pay down that debt, right? Get that bill paid off, that newfound money. And if you need to find some more money, go out and get a side hustle, go out and get a side job or something like that. I mean, guys, this is in your control, right? You can control all of this. And what it does, it makes the stressful time so much easier, so much more less stressful, if I can say that. So I can't, but I just did. But anyway, so Winnie, anything to add on that?
No, you covered it. It's awesome.
So guys, gals, that's the top 5 things that you want to do to make sure you protect your family, protect your money, protect your nest egg, protect yourself. Basically, it's financial CYA, right? So go out and make it happen. And do me a favor. If you like what you saw, make a comment, ask a question. If you want to hear on a specific topic about money, a lot of changes coming up with the 401ks. Roth conversions are going away. So if you don't know what I'm talking about there, let me know. If you need some help financially, reach out to Wendy, reach out to myself. We'll get you hooked up with one of our counselors. They'll give you a free plan. But again, we're here to help you go and grow and share this too. So everybody have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.